Yeah. Everyone knows who follows the show what that sounds means. And Dan here with Ted Leonard. And
How's it going?
Steve is not joining us. He's on some well deserved PTO, personal time off. And Ted, welcome for your first hazing. Interrogation. Interview. Thanks, Ted, for joining us. How are you, brother?
I don't know, but I did it. I, I admit it. It was all me. So no need to interrogate. I'm doing well. How are you?
Really good, thanks. I'm very excited to talk to you about this new album. And before we dive deep, I want to share Steve's perspective on the album. And I did not look at these notes, but he said, please share these notes with Ted and the audience of how I feel about the album. And I have no idea if they'll align with my thoughts. I have no idea. I did not look at these. But Steve says, let me pull them up. He says, and oh, wait, for those of you who don't know, Ted's the vocalist and guitarist for Spock Spirit. He's been with the band since 2011, which is like 80 years ago, right? What a time warp we've all been through with COVID and everything. So it's hard to put a date and a time range on things. But we're going to talk about influences, how we got into music. He's also in Pattern Seeking Animals, but this new Spock Spirit album's amazing. Steve says, and I quote, as far as my comments on the album, mention that I dig the vocal harmonies on Afterthoughts and how the music feels very joyous in places and very energetic, especially in Next Steps, one of the tracks. This might be one of the strongest albums I've heard this year. Now, that is saying a lot from Steven because it's the middle of December right now. So to say at the end of the year, it's one of the strongest albums he's heard, that says a lot. And Steve, he hates everything. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But I agree with Steve that toward the end of the year to get an album with so much fresh music and the acapella in the beginning of the opening track, there's so much here to dig into. First, I want to talk, Ted, about what was the process like of making this album? Was it arduous? Did it come organically? Go ahead and spill the beans. And feel free to tell on every single one of the other members.
Sure. Yeah, so this was a little different than previous projects for sure, in that everything was completely remote as far as how we recorded it. And the demos were pretty well formed. When so by Rio and Michael Whiteman, a co-writer of Rio's. So those two took the lion's share of the writing, and by the time I got the demos, Nick's drum parts were already on them. So
Oh,
everything was there except for bass, vocals, and the real guitars.
yeah,
So there was all the demo stuff for those, and some keyboard parts that Rio redid just for better sounds and stuff like that. Um, but otherwise, I mean, the songs were pretty well formed. All of the lyrics and harmonies were pretty well mapped out, apart from the Archaeoptimist, where actually it was mapped out, but I redid those with not very much. Didn't really refer to the original vocal lines much. There was definitely some in the in there was some reference to what was already written uh, in the kind of the breakdown acapella part, but
right.
um, but otherwise I just kind of shut off the vocal track and only looked at it to see the waveform of where the vocals were supposed to go. Wrote
Oh, interesting.
lyrics and melodies to it. So it was a completely different song about a completely different subject matter when I got it, and want to. I didn't really want to do the song in its with the subject matter being what it was originally written, because it was kind of about which Michael did an amazing job with all of the lyrics. I mean, and melodies and a lot of the music. Uh, but this one just wasn't really suited. It was about a bullyish political figure, if you can imagine such an
Oh yeah.
audacity. but
No, that makes sense.
but and so I just, I'm like, that's a little too on the nose. You know, Michael even said this has nothing to do with the current president or anything like that. I'm like, yeah, but that's how it's going to come off, and I'm just not interested in. I'm just not interested in being a political singer.
Right.
It's just unhealthy. so
Totally,
so I
man.
just so
Totally.
I told Rio that this needs a full rewrite, and he goes, well, we're mixing it in 4 days, so have at it. And then I really felt bad, and then I'm like, oh crap, it's like 4.5 pages of lyrics. It's a 21-minute song. So, and then as it turned out, I had plenty more time actually because stuff got pushed down the road. When I was sitting down to write it, I thought I was really under the gun. Excuse me, I have a really nasty cold right now.
That's okay.
So
Thanks
anyway, it
for
was
joining us under that too.
but
I appreciate it.
um, so yeah, everything was recorded right here into that microphone and for vocals, and I did some of the funkier kind of clean strummy guitar parts,
Yeah.
but for the most part, all of the the real guitars were of course recorded by Al at his home, with plugins and no amps, just plugins.
Wow, that's
And
so cool.
yeah, these days it's
Uh,
pretty crazy. I mean, I have a UA plugin that I use. I still mic up my amp though. It's in the next room, all mic'd up when I'm doing Patterson the Animal stuff. But for this one, I just used a UA. I have a UA Dream pedal. It's basically their version of a Fender Deluxe, which would be my amp of choice anyway. So,
Awesome.
and that was great for all the clean kind of stuff. But otherwise,
That's
I
great.
mean, yeah, all the vocals were recorded here. Some of which was recorded through a handheld mic. Actually, Next Steps. I was
Wow.
on vacation.
Oh,
Yeah, I was
wow.
on
Really?
vacation.
The last song on the
Yeah, and
album.
and yeah. So when Rio sent me the lyrics, Next Steps was blank, and so I just assumed it was like an instrumental. I had no idea that there was vocals to the song, and and they were getting ready to mix it, and Rio was like, "Hey, have you done the vocals for Next Steps yet?" And I'm like, "No," and I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so I had to bring my audio interface and a condenser mic. I have an Audix, and it recorded really. I mean, listen to it on the album and tell me you can hear it. It sounds great. And so I've actually done some other recording with that mic since then. The cool thing about it
Remotely?
is, no, just at home when I've even had the choice between that and this, it just has a different
Wow.
vibe to it. And I think if it's a part that requires a lot of mic technique, when
Yeah.
you're on a mic like this and you're trying to employ mic technique, it's a lot of or turning your face or whatever. But with the
Right.
handheld, like I could just really work it, and it was kind
Right.
of cool. That's probably a bad.
It's more
That's probably not a
manual,
great
literally.
example for.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That
I
was
want to do a
that was a.
track
By the
rundown
way,
really
that's sign language for a blowjob. But anyway,
quick for karaoke. No, that's cool. Quick track rundown, boys and girls. We got Invisible, which I'll get back to in a moment. I've got some comments, questions. That's 6 minutes 33 seconds. For those of you who think Prague is dead, it's coming back, and we'll talk about that. But we got Invisible, 6 minutes 33 seconds. Electric Monk, 6 minutes 16 seconds. For Afterthoughts, 7 minutes 31 seconds. Saint Jerome in the Wilderness, 8 minutes 46 seconds. You see where this is going. And then we've got I love this, Archaeoptimist, 20 minutes and 57 seconds. Thank you so much for delivering a true Prague epic. And then it closes with Next Step, as Ted mentioned earlier, 10 minutes and 58 seconds. This is a very robust album of not, I don't look at it or listen to it as musical indulgence for indulgence sake, but the delivery of a theater of music. And I mentioned yesterday, actually, with Marco Miniman, that I've decided to come clean because I was that 60 something curmudgeon saying, yeah, there'll never be music in 50 years that people will listen to again that's coming out now. But the prog and the type of stuff you guys are doing is so worthy. It's so artistic and relevant, and it's beautiful. And when we go back to that opening track, the first thing I thought of, and this ties into influences, Ted, the first thing I thought of with the acapella, the beautiful vocals, was the beginning of Leave It by Yes. I'm assuming they're an influence still.
Well, absolutely, an influence in from for all of the members. Um, Whether or not that had anything to do with that particular song, I don't know, but that is a great. I love that beginning. Um, yeah, a lot of people have said like "Carry On, Wayward Son," but another a cappella beginning,
Right?
and my voice kind of sounds like Steve Walsh, so yeah,
Yeah,
I get
absolutely.
that comparison. But I haven't heard Leave It yet, but that is a great song, man. That whole album, so ridiculous. That talk about a timeless album. That album still sounds like it was recorded yesterday. You know,
Absolutely. I
it's
remember in 1980, I don't know, six, a couple years after that album came out, I was at a pizza place that had a jukebox, and it had all three or four versions of Leave It, the instrumental version, the normal version that came on the album, the a cappella version, and some other weird digital mix. And someone programmed all four versions in a row. And that just, for some reason, the a cappella only version stuck with me. And that's what I went to when I heard that song.
yeah.
But I'm glad you mentioned uh, Kansas, because I was going to say, if they were not an influence, I was going to come through the screen. The album's
Well,
amazing.
my
Like,
first
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I don't know how much Kansas influences the other guys in the band, but in fact, I do know that they weren't much of an influence on the other guys. Now, Michael Whiteman, I don't know as well. I've had one very long conversation with him just to get some details as to his involvement. Um,
Right.
but uh, but for me, growing up, Kansas, I mean, I learned how to write their logo, and I had it all. I would like write it in pen on my Trapper Keeper. That tells you how old I am, and you know, and so I mean, 12 years old, I'm into a band that had their heyday, 10 years earlier, and
Right.
nobody my age was into that band. At least I thought until my girlfriend's 17th birthday, she made me sing. She was like the singer in town at the
Oh,
time,
really?
and she was everybody knew her. She was the singer. She's this amazing. She still is a really good singer, but but she heard me sing in the car because we started dating, and I would sing along with, I don't know, Glass Tiger or something really
Oh, wow.
fruit filled, um, and and she was like, wow, you can actually sing. And I think, I don't know, I mean, I was in church choir and stuff, but I didn't really take it seriously. So she made me sing at her birthday party, and the band guys, there was a couple band guys there that I knew were in a band, and I knew them from school and everything, but I had never really talked to them. And I sang, and then the long haired dude came up and he's like, hey man, so what are your influences? I'm like, what? My influences right now it's alcohol, but yeah. So, and he goes, no man, like what bands are you into? And I'm like, well, my favorite band is Kansas. And he was like, oh my god. And so this other dude, the first musician who ever approached me to be in a band, his favorite band was Kansas too. So we had a band in high school called Revelation. But yeah, Kansas was my favorite band, so they leak into my vocal delivery quite a bit from time to time.
That's awesome. How about your guitar influences?
Well, oddly enough, I think my favorite guitar player was Steve Morse. Is Steve Morse.
Oh, yeah.
And I did, and I'd heard his name before because he was like guitar player, guitarist of the year for like, I don't know, 6 years running or something like that back then. And
Yeah.
then he would, join Kansas for 2 albums, and that's when I, of course, was most turned on to him. And then I went back and started listening to, Dixie Dregs and all his solo stuff, you know. And I think one of my first concerts I ever went to was him, the High Tension Wires
Wow,
tour.
really?
Um, yeah, I was bummed that Rod Morgenstein wasn't the drummer because he was the drummer on the album,
Yep.
and he already had the guy Van something. I can't remember um, his name right now, the drummer, but he already had that guy playing with him. But I think he had T. Lavitz on that gig shortly before he passed away. Not shortly, I don't know when he passed away, but anyway, it was the keyboardist, So so he's playing all that material, including Too Many Notes, which is like what everybody was waiting for. I don't know if you know that track, but yeah. So
Yeah.
he was a huge influence. Other guitar players that I look up to, I love Neil Schon and his like melodic sensibility. I love all the guys I've played with. Of course, Doug taught me a lot. I didn't pick up guitar till I was 16, so by the time I was in Enchant, I'd only been playing a few years. So I played back
Oh,
chords at first, but I obsessed on guitar from since then, and now I've been playing a few years now. What's 54 times 16? Um, so
that's
yeah,
awesome.
so yeah, I mean, I love Doug's playing, I love Al's playing, but of the other, big names out there, the guys, Guthrie Govan, of course, is like godlike. I think
Oh,
he's
God.
probably
Yeah.
the best. Yeah, and then as far as not shredders, uh, um, I really love country guitar,
Really?
which is
What
weird
I
because
gotta
I'm a
ask
country.
you, I gotta ask you, what is it about that? And the reason I ask is because me being in my 60s, you know, old school country music is like Johnny Cash, um, all the stuff from the 50s and 60s, whereas nowadays, oh my God, I'm gonna sound like an old guy. But nowadays, a lot of country sounds like, and I'm not dissing it, I'm just identifying how I feel it sounds, is like country pop rock with a twist in the lyrics and some slide guitar. And I'm not dissing it. I'm just saying I think that's how I identify with it. And I love, like Jason Aldean, Brad Paisley. But what is it about the country music that you identify with, and how would you describe it in today's music?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I would describe it the same. But let me clarify. I love country guitar and the approach, and actually, that's part of Steve Morse's shtick too, is the chicken picking thing.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so but as far as the songs or the music, it's not that I'm haven't heard country songs that I love, but I'm not a big fan of the genre as a whole. I mean, there's enough songs about beer and pickup trucks. Um, man, that I don't remember who the comedian is, but he has this song called "Pandering." Somebody out there knows
Yeah.
what I'm
Who
talking
is
about,
that?
and it's just yeah, Bob's something. Anyway, it's hilarious, but but yeah, I love Brad Paisley. His guitar playing is phenomenal, and the chicken picking that Steve Morse does, and then there's this guy Greg Koch that whose guitar is well, you probably can, yeah, the one that's furthest this way is his signature
Yeah.
series Telly
Yeah.
production, and that's I mean he's a great player, and but as far I actually like Keith Urban's. I think Keith Urban kind of falls more into the
Oh,
category that you're talking about, where he's more of just like a rock guitar player that has a little bit of country, tinge to it.
yeah.
And it's same with as a singer. So I went through a little bit of a Keith Urban phase, mainly because my ex-wife was like was obsessed with him, and so I stuck
Interesting.
listening to him a lot. But I love his voice, love his songwriting. Um, but yeah, I mean, for me, a good song is a good song, and every genre's got examples.
Right. That's a great
So
point.
I'm not, yeah, and
Yeah.
for my taste, I mean, I'll write a song in 4/4 in that lasts 4 minutes. Um, and then but I was also raised on Kansas, which for those, you know, for those prog heads out there that have never really given Kansas deeper cuts a shot, um, they are very progressive. If all you know is Dust in the Wind and Carry On Wayward Son, you don't really know Kansas.
Yeah, get out of here.
They were very. I mean, on certain forums, it's just like, oh, those guys are boring. It's like, man, have you listened to them? Because
Oh my
their
God.
uh, their arrangements were intense. I mean, Kerry Livgren was a genius. I mean, anyway,
Absolutely.
so yeah, but I do love approach of country guitar. I've always tried to kind of get the chicken picking in there, so it finds its way into Pattern Singing Animals quite a bit. But obviously, I'm not the lead guitar player in this band, so it doesn't really have much impact on Spock's.
So, are you guys going to go on tour with this great album?
Yeah, we have a short tour planned in February, coming up quick. In fact, I need to start looking at
Yeah,
stuff. Um,
right
uh,
around the corner.
and but it's a short tour, and there's a few dates in Scandinavia, which is brilliant, by the way. Scandinavia in February is a really good time to go if you hate yourself. But that's what we're doing, and
No, that's cool.
so
That's
we're
great. A
it is
U.S.
cold. It's
tour?
cold. No U.S. tour, and I think any kind of other kind of more extended tour in other parts of Europe kind of remains to be seen. I think the idea is to because we haven't been on the road in a lot of places parts of Europe in a long time. We were in the UK in 2024 and
Hmm.
just UK, and so a lot of the promoters and venues especially, in order to make it cost out, the venues have to give you a certain guarantee. They usually base that on your attendance at other venues and or the
Mm,
attendance from the last time you were there. And then they also base it on how long ago were you there. And so in our case, a lot of those venues would be hard to get into right now because we haven't been there in so long. And so I
yeah,
think they're kind of holding out to see what attendance is like on these gigs, and then we can probably approach if we have good attendance. And I really think that the way this album is getting out there, that we're going to have good attendance for this short tour, and I think that may result in some other gigs. So we'll see.
that's great. Well, I would love to see a show with these songs. This is just such a great album. Folks, if you're not familiar with
We
it,
are
look it
playing
up
in
on
LA.
Bandcamp. It's great.
Yeah, we're doing a couple warm up shows in LA, San
Oh,
Carlos,
where?
uh, at Alva's.
Yeah.
So Alva's is like this little. It used to be attached to a music store. Now it's just it's a small venue. It's very intimate. So we're
Yep.
doing 3 nights in a row. We're doing Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday still has some tickets available. So,
Great.
but Saturday, Sunday are sold out.
That's awesome. Great to hear.
Yeah. So
So let's play a little game, Ted. Give everybody who doesn't know the lineup in the band and one word that just, or it could be a phrase that describes each member
oh man.
from your mind.
Right. This could go off the rails. Rio is crazy and hilarious. Um,
Nice.
Al Al so Rio Akamoto is the keyboardist, and he's kind of he's always been the crazy one. Al
Great
Morris,
organ work, by the way, on this album. Great organ work. Oh my gosh.
keyboards all around, yeah. Yeah. Al Morse is like Jeff Beck and Steve Vai rolled up into a tight little
Ooh,
ball. And I
legit.
don't
I
know.
like that.
Well, I'm trying to
Yep.
think of. So I don't know if he would cite Steve Vai as an influence, but his use of like this is not a short phrase, is it? But it's his use
That's
of
okay.
his like whammy bar and the weird noises he makes and stuff. It's there's a lot of Beck in there, but there's also a modern sensibility that sounds a little like updated Beck. But anyway, Dave Maros is Five Strings of Thunder,
The bass player.
and
Absolutely. Great job.
yeah, and then Nick Potter's is he's just monstrous.
Yeah.
Like so, so that's a new word.
Yeah.
It's actually
Now his drumming
it's
is
actually
so good on this album. I mean, everybody's playing, of course, is great on this album, but his drumming is great. You drum heads, no pun intended. You've got to listen to this album. It's on Bandcamp. You can buy it. It's so good and it's refreshing. It really is. As someone who is so into prog that saw it disappear for all intents and purposes in the 80s from America, and now to get what we're getting from bands like you, it's a treat. It really is. So I hope you guys will book more gigs in the US so we can enjoy that element of prog with the modern overtones and the next generation. Really, it's just wonderful.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean yeah, I honestly think that it kind of goes back to the early '90s, and that we all have Dream Theater to thank for the resurgence of this
Yeah.
genre. And there's been a ton of prog metal bands that have come out since that are just amazing. Um, but this retro prog, which is I would probably say we still fit into that category, mainly just
Yep.
because of sound choices. Um,
Yep.
but
And
retro prog
technique, Ted.
is
I think technique could be woven into that, not just sound choices, but technique as well. Harkens back to the legendary early prog stuff and legendary prog stuff of the 70s. It's the sounds definitely, but I hear the technique as well. And I mean that, as a compliment.
I think what's cool about this album as opposed to our other albums really um, is that Nick is he's young, and
Yeah.
his drumming influences probably include guys like Portnoy, whereas the other drummers we've had were Portnoy's contemporaries, so their influences were probably some of Portnoy's influences.
Right.
They they would harken back to John Paul, not John Paul Jones. Oh my God, not the bass player. Um,
That's okay.
I'm blanking. I am
It all
blanking.
runs
John
together.
Bonham and I think
Yeah.
everybody cites Bonham as one of their favorites, and but Nick seems like he has a lot more of a modern kind of approach to drumming, so it gives this album kind of an interesting juxtaposition between kind of the retro keyboard sounds and this kind of modern drumming that's going on. So
Oh,
it's
that's a
really
great way of
yeah, it's
putting
really
it.
fresh,
And
I think.
yeah, great way of putting it. And Ted mentioned that Nick is younger. For those who don't know, Nick is only 12 years old. A lot of people don't know this. I'm just kidding.
Might as well be. He's
Hey,
actually in his
let's
early
switch.
30s, but
That's young these days for someone old
I
like
used to be
me.
the youngest in the band, so it's a little bittersweet because I was always the youngest, but now I'm not by a long shot.
Hey, let's switch gears, if you don't mind, and talk a bit about pattern seeking animals and what's going on there. Oh, he's got the
Well, actually,
shirt.
you heard me. It just happened to be must be laundry day or something. Um, I was you when the reason why I was 2 minutes late to our 5 o'clock appointment was because I was tracking guitars for our next one. So we've got five
Oh,
albums out now that we've put out in the course of 6 years, and we'll have our sixth one out in the seventh year. Um, so it should be out actually by early spring is the goal.
That's
We don't really
great.
have as stringent a timeline as we used to, and I've got all and I'm sick this week, so and then I have to rehearse all the Spock's beard stuff. So there's a good chance we might run out of time before I leave for tour. I might have to do some stuff when I get back, but we've got a lot of it already recorded, and I think we're going into track the last of the couple songs on drums, and then after that, I mean, like like you saw, I was recording 12 string, not really 12 string, but it's the voodoo attached to my Line 6 Variax kind of Les Paul
Oh,
drum, and
nice.
it's got all this it's got all this digital voodoo, and one of which is a replica. It's version
Oh,
of an old Rickenbacker 12 string. So
oh,
so that's what I was recording. It's pretty handy. It also can do a
cool.
baritone, which is also handy.
Yeah,
But it's not quite
absolutely.
as cool as if I have my druthers, I'm recording with that guy, in any other moment, because that's the telly up there. There's two
Yeah.
tellies.
What year?
This is that's the great. So so neither of them are Fenders, so I shouldn't even say Telecaster really. It's a T style guitar. Um, but this one was built by this guy in Napa, California, just like a parts caster. And I've
Oh,
since this one's kind of funny because I've since I've since replaced the neck on it because the truss rod went away. And if you look really close, it's a scalloped fretboard, which you never see on a telly. It's kind of that's more of a
right.
shredder thing to do, but it's a
Yeah.
fun. It's really kind of a fun little thing. But
That's
anyway,
awesome. Does it
uh,
sound somewhat fretless, Ted? Because
no,
it's
it's
scalloped?
the no. It does have a thing though. It's not really. It doesn't sound fretless. You still hear the frets if you're sliding around the string,
Okay.
and there's no. Your finger never touches wood, um, which is how you go blind, by the way. Um, so when you're fretting a note, as hard as you can press down because of the scallop, you can't make any contact with the wood on the neck. So what
Right.
that does is it kind of creates this. First of all, you can get a deeper vibrato. You can also bend chords out of tune really easily, so you have to be careful. But
Oh,
it has like
wow.
a more expressive kind of thing, it's especially from the vibrato. And then you can take
Interesting.
whole chords and actually just have vibrato just by you know so it's
Oh,
almost like you can get the vibe of having a tremolo bar with just your fingers with it, and you can do that with guitars that don't
so
have scalloped, but this one's much easier that way.
that answers my next question because I was wondering if it's easier to bend notes and chords with the touch of a fretboard or without. And that kind of answered that because when I think back to, I've played a scallop sitar from India a few times, and it's like, yeah, you just move the string and it bends. Do you find it easier on a scalloped fretboard?
Yeah, and some people just achieve that with just tall frets,
Yeah.
like the Greg Koch signature series has particularly tall frets, so it's also really easy for bending chords or like applying vibrato to chords and bending strings and stuff. So they're both good like that, but the scalloped one is particularly expressive that way.
Interesting.
It's fun. That was my first guitar ever. I've
Really?
done all kinds of
Wow.
work, gutted it. Yeah, I bought that when I was 17 or 18, I think.
Wow.
And then I've
That's
just,
great.
it's been abused. It's the thing that has if I want to try something wacky, that's the one I'll try it on. That's why
Oh, that's
when I was
great.
getting a new when I
I
was
love
getting a
that you
new
still
neck, I'm like,
have
yeah, I'll
that and you actually still use it and it's part of your musical world. That's awesome.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, I record with it. I don't play live with it all that often, only because it's a tricky, And because I can always when I'm recording, I can do another take. But
Yeah.
it does mess with me because it's a little bit of a different technique, and if you're not playing scalloped all the time, it'll mess with you. But anyway,
Hey, tell everybody where they can follow you and find out about what's happening.
well, I do have. a Facebook fan page, as well as just a regular personal page. As far as like other mediums or other like social media outlets, I don't really have much of a presence on Instagram or, of course my Tinder profile is always updated. But just kidding, honey. Um, there must be a time delay.
No, that's
But
great. So they can look you up, find you there, stay up to date, get the album. It's great coming from the older curmudgeon who said, "There's no music. They don't No, this is a great album. It's very refreshing with undertones and overtones of the 70s prog that we love with modern genius musical infusions. And congratulations on this album. It's really, really good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I have high hopes, cautious high hopes that this is going to make a stink out there, and get us kind of back in the conversation. Obviously, we had a little bit of a hiatus there, so I think this will make a dent.
Absolutely. I think people are definitely eager and want more, and you guys have delivered. So, Ted, I'm thinking of Nick Potters. I want to get him on. Amazing drummer. But, Ted, hang on the line with me for a moment after we say goodbye to the audience. And, audience, thanks so much for joining Ted Leonard and myself here on Yesshift. Steve wishes you all well, taking some personal time off. We'll be back with more soon. Thanks for following what we do here on Yesshift. And if you're watching on the simulcast or archive on Drum Talk TV, thank you as well. And we will see you all soon. Thanks, everybody.